The scientific analysis of the Lucan portrait through X-rays and carbon-14 dating confirms that the painting dates from the Renaissance, at the end of the 15th century or very beginning of the 16th century. This means it was painted during Leonardo's lifetime. In 1481, Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned by the Augustinian convent at San Donato in Scopito to paint an Adoration of the Magi. It was his first big commission. He had 30 months to complete the work.
If you were a painter, you really had to wait for someone to come to you, hopefully a very wealthy businessman, maybe a band of monks, maybe, if you were very fortunate, the Pope or a cardinal. They would come to you and say, my mortality is weighing on me. I have a tomb in a chapel in this church, and I want to have it decorated. I want a statue in it, I want a fresco in it, and I want you to do an altarpiece for it.
Throughout the 15th century, Florence's chapels were decorated with frescoes. Fra Angelico, Masaccio, Ghirlandaio, Filippino Lippi, commissions abounded for Florentine artists.
For the most part, what you were given was a set of rules, things that you were going to do. And of course, usually the hard and fast rules, the three things that were absolutely key were the subject matter, virgin, a child, crucifixion, whatever it was going to be, the amount you were paid, and that payment would include what you had to spend on materials. And then thirdly, and this was a crucial one, the deadline.
Leonardo da Vinci never finished the Adoration of the Magi. The recently restored painting has now been returned to its original state. For the first time, the wealth of detail and the virtuosity of its composition are visible. The artist managed to give each character the appearance of movement, while drawing the viewer's attention to the Virgin and Child at the center of the painting. During the same period, Leonardo da Vinci began work on Saint Jerome, an audacious painting in which he started to affirm some of his formal ambitions, such as anatomical precision and the presence of landscapes. In 1482, Leonardo da Vinci set off for new horizons. At 30, he left his native Tuscany for Milan in the court of the Duke Ludovico Sforza.
Leonardo had not ingratiated himself into the Medici circle. He had not quite become their favorite painter. And in fact, around the time that he left, a series of painters were sent by Lorenzo the Magnificent to Rome to work on the walls of the Sistine Chapel, which had been newly completed at that time. And they were people like Sandro Botticelli, Pietro Perugino, Michelangelo, and he was passed over. He was not sent to Rome.
At the end of the 15th century, Italy was divided into a number of city-states, kingdoms, and dukedoms, who made a pact to stop fighting each other. One of the most powerful entities was Milan, ruled by the Sforza dynasty. Eager to be hired at Ludovico Sforza's court, Leonardo da Vinci highlighted his versatility and skills. He wrote a letter to the Duke of Milan in which he presented himself as a military engineer and architect, able to design mobile bridges and catapults, private and public buildings, and cast a bronze horse to the immortal glory and eternal homage of the illustrious Sforza house.
He really wanted to go to a court to someone who had deeper pockets and was on a stronger financial footing, someone like Ludovico Sforza, the most powerful man in Italy at this point, and he wanted to work with him and get commissions.
The Florentine painter was welcomed with open arms by the Duke, whose court was lacking renowned painters and sculptors. He stayed in Milan for nearly 20 years. He worked as a military engineer and architect and contributed to the Navigli, the network of canals that made navigation through the Duchy possible. He painted a major work, the fresco of the Last Supper. Back in Salerno, Nicola Barbatelli goes to see the restorer, who has made an incredible discovery on the back of the painting.
During the cleaning process, the words Pinxit Mea appeared written backwards. It was strange.
The text was written from right to left, with a graphic inversion of the letters. This mirror writing is characteristic of left-handed people. It was used by Leonardo da Vinci, who wrote and painted with his left hand. His notebooks, called codexes, in which he recorded throughout his life his thoughts and experiences in such diverse areas as anatomy, hydraulics, architecture, and botany, confirm this. Thousands of handwritten pages are systematically written backwards. Pinxit Mea, 2 Latin words. What could they mean? In Vinci, the artist's native village, Peter Hohenstadt, an expert on Leonardo, goes to the library which holds exact reproductions of the Tuscan master's codexes.
Pinxit Mea, it's a text which the Latin is not 100% correct. It could be very easily read. Mea means probably myself, yeah, could be, yeah, and Pinxit, he has painted myself, could be a play, yeah, to saying that I is the one who's talking, but is also the one who is on the painting. But the Latin translation doesn't really support it perfectly.
We know that the artist wrote most of the time in Tuscan dialect. The illegitimate son of a Florentine notary, he couldn't attend the university. His Latin was self-taught. Could his limited knowledge of Latin explain the strange grammatical form of Pinxit Mea?